Sigma Alpha 2 heading due south over the city. We're en route. Everything's a go.
This is Control Tower. We have you on radar. Report cargo status of captured Hedgehog aboard. Over.
That's a 10-4. Cargo secured on board and... What?
Didn't copy that. Over.
Gone. He's taken out everyone aboard and...
What's wrong?
What in the
Come
world?
in. Over.
Freeze! What do you think you're doing? Get that Hedgehog!
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like money better.
So here we have the most charming opening sequence in all of Sonic. This cutscene not only immediately grabs the audience's attention because Sonic is being treated like the bad guy for once, but it's also an awesome moment because it shows Sonic escaping the helicopter effortlessly and proceeding to snowboard down a sloped city street on a piece of a government helicopter. It's also good for setting the right mood that the music becomes cheery and happy the instant that Sonic gets out of the helicopter.
Over.
He's taken out everyone aboard and...
What's wrong?
What in the
Come
world?
in. Over.
Freeze! What do you think you're doing? Get that Hedgehog!
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like money better.
It's all cheery and upbeat with electric guitars. Perfect for Sonic. Now we come to Shadow's introduction, one of the best cutscenes in all Sonic history. Seriously, you want a contender for the most badass villain entrance scene in all Sonic? This is it.
It all starts with this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
I love Shadow's theme, Throw It All Away, both the music and even the sad singing guitarless interlude that reflects his tragic backstory. It's so perfect for him as a villain, especially one who just showed up and is shrouded by mystery. I don't necessarily like it on its own, but whenever it plays in the cutscenes themselves, it's perfect. You hear it and see him as this strange being that appeared out of nowhere and is mysterious, but at the same time is very powerful, calling himself the vague title of the ultimate life form.
I'm the world's ultimate life form.
I love how the music starts playing only after a few seconds of silence, with Shadow staring at Sonic.
What? It all starts with this.
Because the silence makes you pay attention. It makes hearing Shadow's theme for what's probably the first time all the more impactful. Shadow's lines are great in this game, perfectly suited for a villain. And his voice actor's acting is mostly perfect in this game.
It all starts with this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
I've always thought of David Humphrey as the Shadow villain voice. It suits him as a villain. Sonic's voice is also markedly improved, being at its best in this game.
Now I know what's going on. The military had mistaken me for the likes of you.
As Shadow picks up the green Chaos Emerald that was probably powering Bigfoot, Sonic is shocked and actually gets angry, taking things seriously for a change. This makes sense considering that the military has mistaken him for Shadow, and this has basically ruined his reputation as a hero. So it's good that he gets angry. It means that we're more invested in the plot because the protagonist cares.
Say something, you fake hedgehog!
And he should care. He shows a different side to Sonic, rather than just someone who's carefree and doesn't care about anything at all, which isn't his whole personality. And I love this line from Shadow.
Shadow. I'm the world's ultimate life form. Farewell.
I really love how when Shadow says farewell, he teleports away instantly with the cool animation at the same time.
Farewell.
It's perfectly timed. And Sonic flinches from the bright light looking vulnerable, and then wonders, what is he?
What is he?
Something that the audience would be wondering as well if they started out with the hero story.
Just let it go. You just don't know when to give up, do you?
What are you talking about? That emerald's mine. You got that?
The Master Emerald contains special powers that neutralize the energy of the Chaos Emerald.
So Knuckles reveals that the Master Emerald neutralizes the power of the Chaos Emeralds. This not only shows that he's not that dumb, since he knows what the word neutralize means. That's gotta mean something, right? But not only does it show that he's smarter than you think, but it's actually some very clever foreshadowing because they use this later in the story. This isn't just something that he says to tell Rouge why the emerald is important.
Not if I can help it.
Knuckles makes a smart and pragmatic decision by shattering the emerald, because he's trying to avoid letting Eggman get all of it once again. I love Rouge's scream when he shatters the emerald. It's hilarious. And so melodramatic too, which perfectly suits her character. I like how Knuckles looks comically dazed after she shakes him.
I did that to prevent the Master Emerald from being stolen, you idiot.
I love his line there. I love how he calls her an idiot. The way the line is delivered there is just perfect. It's pretty funny, while also making Knuckles a likable and relatable character from the very start. I like Rouge's line here too.
I despise anyone who takes jewels from me. All the world's gems are mine to keep.
It's a great establishing character moment for her. This cutscene can have one of two music tracks over it, depending on which story you're playing. And I definitely think Knuckles' version of the cutscene is the best one because of how perfectly suited to the scene it is. Its jazzy music sounds comical, highlighting the fact that this is supposed to be a comical scene because Rouge is claiming the Master Emerald is hers when it's not, and Knuckles is calling her an idiot. And the way the music has a saxophone playing at the exact time you hear the Master Emerald shining, while Knuckles is explaining how important it is, it perfectly matches up with what he's saying, what the camera's focusing on, emphasizing the mysticalness of the emerald. I never thought a saxophone could make something sound mystical, but there you go. I also love Knuckles' voice in this game, and I especially love how he talks to Rouge. He has the best lines when talking to Rouge in this game. In fact, I'd say his interaction with Rouge is the source of his most entertaining and sympathetic dialogue and behavior in the entire series. I just love how Knuckles is so deadpan and snarky with Rouge, having the clear moral high ground, and isn't just shouting like an idiot who I wouldn't relate to at all. Instead, he's a deadpan snarker to her for being a jewel thief, being very relatable as he says what the audience is thinking. Knuckles is at his best here. This is the only game where I not only don't hate him, but actually like him. More than Tails and Eggman. I really wish he kept this characterization as a serious deadpan snarker for the whole series. Just because Shadow is one doesn't mean Knuckles shouldn't be. He can be the serious one, reprimanding Sonic for not being cautious all the time. As for Rouge, I personally think she has the best voice in this game.
I despise anyone who takes jewels from me. All the world's gems are mine to keep.
It's perfectly suited to her character as a materialistic, feminine jewel thief who likes to tease people. I don't mean teases and she's a tease. I mean she teases people in a charming and funny way. Like a big sister would tease her little brother. I love how she teases Eggman and the spot-on delivery of her lines.
Look at you, throwing a tantrum like a little kid. How totally embarrassing.
Don't forget your end of the bargain, that girl. What about Tails and Rouge? We had a deal, right? So where is my emerald?
Here you go. I found this.
Why didn't you show me this before?
I love the way she talks in this game and the way she sounds. I don't find her being a feminine character offensive and weakening to her character. If anything, it makes her even more charming. She's a competent spy who's confident in her skills, and her confidence isn't unfounded. Her interaction with Eggman in this game is where she's at her best. I admit, even though I'm a girl, I like Rouge as a character. In this game, in particular. She's just so entertaining in this game. And it's a shame that it's the only game she's good in. This cutscene is the perfect establishing character moment for both Rouge and Knuckles in this particular game. Knuckles is at his best arguing with Rouge because he's a deadpan snarker saying what the audience is thinking, making him actually respect Knuckles for once. And Rouge demonstrates how she's a feminine jewel thief with a personality you'd expect with her every line. And I love the way she talks. This isn't one of my favorite cutscenes in the game or anything, but at least it's explained why Tails knows where to go to find Sonic. Because all they do is have a brief throwaway line that they could have not given us about satellite TV.
On satellite TV.
Tails has a much better voice in this game than he does in other games because he actually sounds sympathetic. Although I like his voice and colors too.
There's no mistake about it. This must be the island. It's a secret military base that is reinforced and super strong.
We also hear Tails' theme for the first time playing on an Indian sitar in this game, and I actually like it. It suits him. I hated Tails' theme in the previous game, with the female singing and everything, so this is a vast improvement. It's also good that Tails' theme actually stops playing when he sees Amy's in danger.
What? Hey, look, it's Amy.
It's good for creating suspense and drawing attention to the fact that there's danger. Tails transforms his plane into a badass battle mech to fight the Egg Walker. And then he engages in a fight with Eggman to prevent him from kidnapping Amy. People like to say that Tails just goes through its exact same becoming independent from Sonic character arc in this game. But this just goes to show you that he's already independent from Sonic right from the very beginning in this game. He has no problem with being a hero right from the start. He doesn't spend a long time going, I've spent so much time being Sonic's sidekick. No, he just immediately fights Eggman. So when Amy finds Sonic in his cell, he's walking back and forth impatiently. That's good characterization display there. Of course he's impatient. She tells him immediately,
Amy?
Keep your voice down.
showing that she knows it's a serious situation. And then she immediately says cheerfully,
Have no fear. Amy Rose is here.
and spins around to show she's not intimidated by the situation. It adds to her character. That she's not just a stalker, she's also trying to impress Sonic by looking like she's not intimidated by the situation.
If I tell ya, will you marry me?
No way!
I thought I had you this time.
She releases him and tells him anyways, showing that she was just joking around with him. She doesn't literally want Sonic to marry her. At least in this game, she's sympathetic.
What's all that writing on the wall anyway? Did you write that?
It's good that Amy asked if Sonic wrote the writing on the cell's walls, drawing attention to it for the audience to show that it's important and yet another Chekhov's gun. That writing is apparently Joe Robotnik's writing, as it's the same cell that he was kept in. So it's good that this is here. And this is also a great line.
Wait for me, Sonic! He's such a brat sometimes.
It shows that she at least knows that Sonic isn't perfect. She may be madly in love with him, but she's not idealizing him, because she literally calls him a brat here. And the fact that she says this also means the story itself is portraying Sonic as not being perfect, because there's no indication that she's wrong about saying this. Good, Sonic's not a Gary Stu in this game.
Comparing yourself to me? Huh? You're not even good enough to be
I'll
my
make you eat those words!
Okay, I know it isn't intentional, but I actually like how Sonic interrupts Shadow there. It makes sense that an impatient and cocky guy like Sonic would interrupt someone while he's trying to insult him. That scene feels weird without the interruption.
What are you doing? Hurry and get back here right now before the island blows up with you on it!
Blows up? Gotta get out of here! Find Amy and Tails! Right where?
When Sonic finds out that the island's about to blow up, he reacts realistically, taking the situation seriously. Even this line,
Blows up?
that people like to make fun of, don't tell me that you wouldn't say that exact same thing. It makes perfect sense for him to take the situation seriously and thus get us invested. It goes without saying that this is a badass moment for Eggman. It makes him intimidating and an actual threat. I like how you see a whole bunch of regular civilians reacting to his plan and looking terrified at him blowing up half the moon. which is the most intimidating thing he's ever done. It's a badass moment for him. You also have lines saying, "I am genius, I am brilliant, I am Eggman," as he makes his message, which not only adds humor and lightheartedness to balance out the grim seriousness of this cutscene, while also being subtle so that it doesn't completely dumb it down, but it also reflects his arrogant characterization rather well.
The Chaos Emeralds are like magic. They have the power to attract each other. I can use that to find what Eggman is.
Tails shows off his character as a genius by making a smart plan, once again showing that he's independent from Sonic in this game, and that he's not just going through a character arc to impress him. And it makes perfect sense that he would know how these Chaos Emeralds work. At the end of SA1, Tails showed that he understood the Chaos Emeralds by telling Sonic that Chaos only used the negative power of the Emeralds.
Chaos only used the negative power of the Emeralds. Sonic, you should be able to harness their real power.
As much as I hate to admit it, I think Tails is right about this. Go, Sonic! Yeah, Sonic!
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 Negative forces aren't the only way to empower the Chaos Emeralds. A positive feeling toward each other can make them work. Our hearts together form awesome power.
So it makes sense that he knows how these emeralds work. He knows they're like magnets. This is perfect foreshadowing to what he does with that knowledge later in the game.
Maybe Eggman took the emeralds into outer space. I managed to find the transcript between Eggman and the president in the government computer. I'm following the president's limo right now. If we get into the limo, we can trace the call to find Eggman.
And another way that Tails uses his intelligence. He turns his mech into a go-kart and races after the limousine so that he can use his technology skills even more to trace the call and find out where Eggman is. See, I like the plot of this game. It makes fantastic use of Tails' intelligence. And at the same time, he's not arrogant about it once, so he remains a sympathetic character. It's not like in Colors, where the only way he uses his intelligence is making a translator machine that Sonic doesn't need because by the time he got it working, he already had destroyed 2 generators. I really like how the video of Eggman is of low quality here, with static and everything. It really makes it look like he's transmitting the signal all the way from outer space. It's good for the atmosphere.
Demands are quite simple. Surrender to the Eggman Empire and make no attempts to resist. Otherwise your country will cease to exist. You have 24 hours to give me your answer.
Again, a genuinely threatening moment for Eggman. You need to have the villain be a threat for there to be a sense of stakes.
No way!
What the?
Eggman Empire.
It's great that Sonic's theme plays here. It's great and inspiring music showing you that everything will be alright, and it's perfectly timed.
Counting on you, buddy. The world's greatest treasure hunter.
It looks like Sonic's being genuinely nice to him here. Of course, it could be just that he's sucking up to Knuckles gonna do what he wants, but he just looks so nice to him here. This is the only time, at least as far as I can remember, that he's actually nice to Knuckles. It's heartwarming.
What? Why do I have to find the key?
And the complaint about finding the key suits Knuckles' character as someone who's not a team player.
That was pretty rough.
You said it, Knuckles. Fuck that boss.
What the?
Is everyone alright? We should be landing
No!
soon.
The hatch doors are
Don't
open.
sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those
What do you
Master
mean, don't
Emeralds.
sweat it?
When the space shuttle gets hit by a meteor, Knuckles gets really worried about the Master Emerald and how it's falling out of the ship, which is a good character moment for him. It makes sense that he as a Guardian would be worried.
This place was shut down about 50 years ago because of a terrible accident. The first Bernoulli spherical space colony, called ARC. When it was operational, it was the most advanced research center of its kind.
So Tails apparently knows about the Ark already. Well, he's an engineer, so it makes sense that he'd be full of trivia about technology like space shuttles. It's not like in other games where he just knows everything about everything for no reason.
Someone designed that weapon to be impenetrable from outside attacks. Its defense shields are super strong, so we have to find a way to destroy it from inside.
That a Chaos Emerald?
It looks like it, doesn't it? But in fact, it's a fake one I created after researching the real emerald. It has the same wavelength and properties, but it's less powerful than the real one. It's designed to reverse the energy field inside the Chaos Emeralds and blow up. It looks so real, even a machine can't tell the difference. I'll find the power supply and destroy it. Sonic, you find the control room, okay?
And here, once again, Tails is shown as the brains of the team. He makes a plan to destroy the Eclipse cannon from the inside. And here is his most glorious moment of genius in the entire franchise. He makes a fake Chaos Emerald. And not only that, but one that's still powerful on its own. It's rigged to blow up after being mistaken for the real emerald. And what also works is that Sonic looks amazed and impressed with him, showing that we are indeed supposed to be impressed by this. And people can say that's ridiculous, but it got tons of foreshadowing beforehand that makes it believable that Tails could know enough about Chaos Emeralds to make a fake one. Remember when he figured out the perfect chaos used the negative power of the emeralds, and positive emotions projected by cheering could re-energize the emeralds that were drained of their power? He figured that out thanks to Tikal's flashback. Remember in this game when he said the emeralds were like magnets? He clearly understands Chaos Emeralds quite well, so it makes sense that he'd be able to make a fake one. He probably used the yellow Chaos Emerald he already had to make it, infusing its power into the fake one. I really like how Tails gets to be the smart guy a lot in this game, being at his most competent here, and is nonchalant about it, so he continues to be sympathetic. And this is a good character moment for Amy.
I hate you! You guys always leave me behind and have all the fun!
Okay, Sonic! Now put that emerald...
Tails, tell Sonic to meet you back at the research facility.
Sonic! Amy is...
I didn't get that, Tails. What happened to Amy?
Once again, this is Eggman being a competent villain, and Sonic is taking the situation seriously to back that up, being in denial when asking Tails to talk to him. That gets you invested in the story. After another funny and relatable line from Knuckles right before you fight Rouge,
That's a good one. Your Emerald. Talking to you is a waste of time.
this is one of the best cutscenes in the game. There's just so much UST between these two in this game, and I love it. For one, Knuckles and Rouge are panting in exhaustion, and both demand the Master Emerald from each other.
Stop fooling around and give me back my Emerald.
I like how Rouge insults him for attacking a lady.
What are you babbling about? You call yourself a hunter, attacking a lady? Shame on you!
And Knuckles just shows that he's not really like that, having an intelligent response to that.
What kind of lady goes around stealing gems anyway?
Again, saying what the audience is thinking. He's not the type of person who's not going to attack a girl just because she's a girl. He's pragmatic like that. And after Rouge falls, he saves her, because he's a hero. It's not even a big deal to him. I like this as well. The two gaze into each other's eyes for a second or two before Rouge pulls away.
Don't touch me!
Is that how you say thanks to someone who just saved your life?
And then she teases him with a smile.
You just wanted to hold my hand, didn't you? That's why you saved me. You're such a creep.
I just love the performance of that line. Knuckles insists that he was saving the Master Emerald because Rouge had some pieces on her. Rouge gives the audience an aside glance, rolls her eyes, and says with a great performance,
No matter what you say, it sounds crazy.
another charming line. And then she gives him the pieces she has, doing something good, with the excuse that
Fine, then just take them. They stink like echidnas do.
another humorous line. I love how Knuckles instantly snarks at her instantly.
Like echidnas do.
If that's what you thought, you should have given me them in the first place.
That's great. And after the Master Emeralds put back together, Knuckles actually apologizes to Rouge for fighting with her.
I'm sorry if I hurt you.
The fact that Knuckles apologized at all is heartwarming. And also Rouge reveals a soft side by smiling afterwards, saying in a clearly distracted tone that implies she has a crush on him.
We should get going.
And looking back at him one last time before flying away. It goes without saying at this point that I love everything about this cutscene. The performance, the lines, the body animations, generally what happens in it, it's all perfect. Never fails to make me smile. I think Rouge's version of it is the best because it has Rouge's theme playing. A pleasant and happy theme that is much better suited to the heartwarming cutscene where Rouge begins to get a crush on Knuckles. I love the UST between Knuckles and Rouge. I love the way he interacts with Rouge. He's sarcastic in a relatable, witty, and funny way, being a deadpan snarker who comes off as actually intelligent, saying what the audience is thinking.
Is that how you say thanks to someone who just saved your life?
It's the only game where he doesn't annoy the hell out of me. He has great lines, a great actor, the perfect voice for his role as a serious deadpan snarker, and his characterization is perfect compared to all the other portrayals of him. Serious, sarcastic, cares about his friends enough to search them out and tag along with them on an adventure as soon as he's done fixing the Master Emerald, instead of just returning to Angel Island and staying there. He can make pragmatic and smart decisions like shattering the Emerald to save it, and he doesn't try to hurt Sonic or insist that he's better than him. He's not gullible, he doesn't try to beat up Sonic as usual, and he's not irritatingly proud. Instead, he's cool, suave, and relatable. I miss this Knuckles.
Whoa! You thought you could trick me with that fake, didn't you?
Another threatening moment for Eggman. He traps Sonic in a capsule and sends him into space for it to explode. And as usual, the music is perfectly timed with this. It stops playing, and there's a complete silence for a couple seconds to show just how screwed Sonic is.
Whoa!
It really does a good job creating dramatic tension. It's just like how the music was all dramatic in the blowing up half of the moon cutscene.
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails!
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
I also like how he lets Tails think that he tricked him into revealing the truth and getting his best friend killed, instead of explaining how he actually knew. It's very in character and menacing for Eggman to be a dick like that and make Tails blame himself for what could happen to Sonic. Imagine how Tails would have reacted if Sonic actually did die. He probably wouldn't have forgiven himself.
Now, for a little space ride. Capsule clears the colony back.
I'm counting on you, Tails. Amy, take care of yourself.
Farewell, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic!
It has the same wavelength and properties, but is less powerful than the real one.
The same wavelength and properties. Can I do this? Farewell.
Sonic is in the capsule and is falling with appropriate dramatic music playing to it that sets the mood perfectly. And he remembers what Tails said about the Emerald in order to foreshadow what he's going to do with it. I like how the cutscene doesn't have Sonic explicitly state that he plans on doing what Shadow does with the Chaos Emerald. It keeps it a surprise for later. And I also love how he actually shows depth to his character by showing insecurity rather than being cocky.
The same wavelength and properties. Can I do this?
Something you'll never see in any other Sonic game. And I know a lot of people will try to point this out as ridiculous, but it makes a lot of sense that he'd be able to use Chaos Control with the fake Emerald. Not only because it's said to have the same wavelength and properties as the real one, and not only because it's still powerful by itself, but also because Sonic's been exposed to Chaos Energy for like 5 whole years by this point. He's so familiar with it that not only could he be able to figure out how to use Chaos Control, but Chaos Energy might have actually seeped into him over the years from all the times he's used the Chaos Emerald. I mean, in Generations, he was able to beat Chaos without a supersonic form. It's canon now that he's been getting stronger as he's gotten older. Besides, he's already seen Shadow do it, and Shadow shows all the same abilities that he has, so it's only logical that Sonic would think, Maybe Chaos Control is yet another ability I share with him. Amy's acting for crying over Sonic is perfect, especially when she's crying out his name. It almost makes you feel sorry for her. And Tails shows a badass moment by holding back his sadness and attacking Eggman with his mech like a badass.
For him. I won't let him down. I won't give up.
This cutscene is an actually heartwarming moment of friendship between the two. Something you're never really going to see again. He's actually worried and checks to see if he's okay.
He's Sonic.
And when Sonic stands up all woozy, he lets Sonic have one arm over his shoulder to balance himself, and asks if he's okay.
Are you okay?
Considering what a jerk Knuckles is to Sonic usually and how rude Sonic is to him, it's really heartwarming. Sonic says that he's worried about Tails and Amy.
I'm worried about Tails and Amy. I hate to ask.
And he also says that he hates to ask for his help. This shows that he takes the situation seriously to get the audience invested, and shows that he still has a rivalry with Knuckles, being reluctant to ask him for help. It's a good character moment between them. And I love the music playing here, with the dramatic trumpets perfectly showing that Shadow is a villain.
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard. You actually saved me, you know.
It was a Chaos Emerald, wasn't it? But there's no way you could have activated the Chaos Control using an emerald that's fake. So, there's more to you than just looking like him. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventure days are coming to an end.
I love the performance of that line. Shadow's acting performance in this game as a whole is excellent. You could argue that he sounds too monotone, but perfectly suits a character with his personality who's experienced such a tragic backstory so recently from his own point of view. A creepy villain like him, speaking with little emotional inflection, that suits him perfectly. Same goes for Knuckles. He sounds like he's talking monotone sometimes, but he's characterized as a serious person, so of course he sounds all deadpan.
Sonic, I did it.
This is good because Tails says it unhappily because he feels like he had a hollow victory. What does it matter that he saved the world if his friend just got blown up in a space capsule? It's a genuinely sad scene before Sonic tells him they did an awesome job and cheers everyone up. Sure, we as the audience know that Sonic is okay, but we can still sympathize with his friends for not knowing that yet.
Awesome job, Tails.
Sonic!
Look outside.
And then the music swells to change the mood to a happy one full of relief as the cannon blows up satisfyingly. There's plenty of reasons that SC2's story is so good. Like actions having consequences, and a balance of action and talking, and there's not just exposition and boasting, there's all sorts of different conversations. And another reason that's so good is that in both the hero and the dark story, it starts out with an interesting role reversal that immediately captivates your attention. Most of the time, Sonic's chasing down Eggman being the hero. Here, Sonic is being chased down like he's a villain, while Eggman is infiltrating a gun building, shooting around the Eggwalker, getting involved in the action himself. And he's not even involved in action related to Sonic. It's captivating from the very beginning, regardless of what story you're starting out with, which is excellently planned. Not to mention, it's badass of Eggman to get involved in this. You actually get to see him storming into a base and attacking someone other than Sonic. Like, he has a life outside of just fighting Sonic. So yeah, Eggman breaks into a military facility of guns, and his theme is playing.
Locate and stop the intruder from entering the secure area. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill.
Which is perfect considering the scene. I also like the atmosphere of this cutscene with the echoing female announcer saying,
Not drill. Repeat, this is not drill.
And the red siren's going off. It perfectly suits the situation. I like how the capsule for Shadow rises in a dramatic entrance, all slow and stuff, and this is perfect.
Is that you, Sonic? Were you trying to spoil my plans again? Wait, you're not Sonic. This is impossible.
My name is Shadow. Since you were so kind to release me, my master, I will grant you one wish.
Now what?
Behold the true power I possess.
I love the dramatic and creepy villain music that plays here for Shadow's entrance, with the violins and trumpets, and combined with the camera panning around and Shadow's acting performance and lines, makes this the perfect villain's opening scene. Possibly the greatest in the entire franchise. And I love his first lines.
My name is Shadow. Since you were so kind to release me, my master, I will grant you one wish.
That is epicness incarnate. I'm not even a big Shadow fan, but he's the best character in this game, not Sonic. So Shadow teleports away awesomely, showing that he's powerful right from the very start. And when Eggman asks what Shadow meant when he said he would grant him a wish, Shadow suspiciously answers with the non-answer,
Bring more Chaos Emeralds.
implying right away that he has his own agenda as manipulating Eggman for his own purposes. So it doesn't seem to come out of nowhere when it's later revealed that he was manipulating him all along. It makes him look smart and cunning from the very beginning. He's one-upping Eggman right away. I also like the performance of this next line.
I'll be waiting for you in the central control room on the Space Colony Ark.
So we cut to Shadow standing high up near a grind rail lead to the entrance to Radical Highway. He looks down on the people below and calls them pathetic.
How pathetic.
Typical villain stuff. Then you hear his theme playing, and it's something that shocked the audience back then. Instead of Shadow doing something awesome when his theme plays, he has a flashback of him running through a corridor from soldiers with a human girl, and he cries out her name in anguish, showing that he cared about someone other than himself at one point. Then we cut to him being in a space capsule about to be sent to the Earth, with Maria making it tragically clear that she's not coming with him. This gives you sympathy for a villain for once.
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I like Maria's voice. It's in a whispery tone in the scene, and adds tragedy to it even more, really making it sound like she's saying goodbye to him forever. I like her line here too.
Shadow, I beg of you, please,
Maria!
do it for me. For all the people on that planet.
There's a silence for, dramatic effect, and then she says,
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I really like how there's a comma between Shadow and the rest of his name, because again, it adds to the tragedy of the scene. And she says goodbye in a different language to add more emotional impact to her saying that word. It's not just some stupid mistranslation thing. In the Japanese version, which was the original script for the game, she says adios, making it clear what the intent was. Since she never explicitly states what she wants Shadow to do, this creates the implication that Shadow forgot what she said, or maybe Gerald Robotnik reprogrammed him with a serum or something to forget, so that he would believe that she wanted him to take revenge like he wanted. Actually, in the Japanese version, the last story, he literally reveals, I also completely control Shadow's memories. So yeah, that actually happened. Shadow shocks the audience at the time by saying that he promised that girl something and is doing something for her. A stereotypical villain, he is not. He shocks the audience again by saying that,
I still remember what I promised you. For the people of this planet, I promise you. Revenge!
making some wonder if Maria actually wanted that and wasn't just this innocent little girl. And I love how the music cuts out seconds before he says that final word.
I promise you. Revenge!
Because it makes you pay close attention for noticing that the music is gone, making the word all the more impactful. And that's hardly the only time the cutscene presentation cuts out the music to make you pay attention either. The flashback has another layer of tragedy to it because the audience back then wouldn't know that Maria was going to get killed. A big part of appreciating SA2's story is trying to remember how people would have felt watching the story for the first time, rather than just looking at it in hindsight. Like, you already know all about Shadow's backstory, you already know about what happened to Maria. You have to keep in mind what it felt like to see this story for the first time. Like, for all you knew, Maria was going to get captured and imprisoned, that was it. The soldiers were just after the ultimate life form. They wouldn't kill a little girl, right? And it makes it all the more shocking and tragic when Gerald's diary reveals that they did. You can't truly remember just how impactful the story was when the game first came out, and you found out from the internet instead of by playing the game, or you just don't remember. It's a story full of mysteries and tragedy, and you try to believe it's not as tragic as it could be, and then the last story hits you like a ton of bricks. Of course, not going to remember how many mysteries it has when it's been so long since you've experienced the plot, and look back on it knowing all the plot twists. This is a game that does drama well. You start out thinking that Shadow's just this typical villain, an evil Sonic. Hell, promotional material literally called him Dark Sonic. And then this cutscene shows up and turns all that on its head. And you can't even say it came out of nowhere, because the password Eggman used to awaken Shadow was Maria.
Maria.
And now you know who Maria is. More foreshadowing. This plot is full of foreshadowing. Aside from the Maria model, everything about this cutscene is perfect. Especially the music. The way it goes from energy-filled Shadow theme to the sad and tragic part, like a final goodbye once Maria shows up.
What?
Shadow, I beg of you, please,
Maria!
do it for me. For all the people on that planet. Sayonara, Shadow, the Hedgehog.
Whether it's a cartoon hedgehog or not, the fact remains that this scene is tragic and moving. This is one of the biggest good things about SA2's plot. It's one of the only Sonic games that has sympathetic villains with actual motivations and tragic backstories. They're justified. It's not like with Eggman where we have no idea why he's a villain. We can sort of infer it based on his history with Gun, with his family, but even in this game it's never actually explained. In the introductory cutscene before Egg Quarters, Rouge says,
I hate to say it. I guess I'm going to have to find that key first.
I like that line. I like the performance given to when she complains about having to find keys. I like how slowly she says it and stuff. So Rouge recognizes the space transporter of Eggman's base on sight, and apparently knows that ARC was shut down 50 years ago.
ARC? Wasn't that space colony shut down over 50 years ago?
Well, she is a gun agent. She's pretty well informed. Makes sense. It makes her look intelligent and competent. And she actually knows about all this stuff because Gunn told her about it. And I really love the performance of that final line.
Doesn't matter. It's my mission to find out what he's up to.
She sounds so confident. It's very in character for her. And this is Shadow's best villain scene. He introduces Eggman to the Eclipse Cannon. It says to manipulate him, that he can bring the world under his rule by putting Chaos Emeralds in it and threatening to destroy the world with it.
I've been waiting for you, Doctor. Now, I will show the glorious achievement of what the world's leading scientist, Professor Gerald, has created. The Ark was the first space colony created by mankind. Not many people know that the Ark contained a top-secret research facility where weapons of mass destruction were being created. This is one of them, a weapon capable of destroying an entire planet, codenamed the Eclipse Cannon.
Destroying an entire planet. Was this my grandfather's legacy?
But it's been deactivated for some time now. To reactivate it, Large amounts of energy are necessary.
Oh, so that's why we needed the Chaos Emerald.
Exactly. To reactivate the machine, we need the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Once you have that, then you have the ultimate power of destruction to use as you please. And then, the world could be yours.
Everything about this scene perfectly creates the atmosphere. From the dramatic music to the camera panning out and around, to the visual effects after Shadow puts the Chaos Emerald into the cannon with an evil smirk. Everything about the scene is great. It's really captivating, and I love the lines Shadow has and the performance of the actor. Shadow as a villain is the best villain in all the Sonic games by far. Much more interesting than Eggman, that's for sure. Then Rouge appears from the ceiling, saying,
Do you really think it will be that easy?
as if she's going to oppose him, only to instantly smile sweetly at Eggman and say that she'll help him. Talk about being obviously manipulative. That's her character, I guess, and I guess it's Eggman's character to be too stupid to realize she's manipulating him. I love the performance of her lines in the scene.
I've got a great idea. How about making a deal?
It's so condescending and manipulative.
Now, if you could just let me borrow that radar, I may be able to help you.
And I love that line too. She's so condescending and teasing of him, but in a likable feminine way. This is what makes her character so entertaining. I also like it how she says this line so quickly.
It may not look like it, but do you know that I am a treasure hunter that specializes in all kinds of jewels?
I like how she pulls a Chaos Emerald right at the end of her sentence.
All kinds of jewels.
It's perfectly timed. The cutscene presentation in this game may not be perfect, but it's such a massive step up from SA1. Like how the characters move around so much more, and they don't have long pauses. Like, I didn't think the pauses were that long, but they talk quicker. Eggman looks at Shadow, who nods, and he agrees to let her join him. Another moment of subtlety. Like, he doesn't say that she should join them. He just nods, and that's it. I also like her introduction line. Like, she's clearly flying and not gliding here, but if she flew around like Charmy B and Knuckles Chaotix in the gameplay, she'd be kind of boring to play. Although it's an exploratory gameplay style, so maybe not. But yeah, does look pretty cool how she flies down to them slowly. I like the music that plays here. It's very suited to the atmosphere. Like, the whole point is that they're getting a mission ready, so it makes perfect sense that they would have that music. And I really like Eggman's humorous line here.
Having to come back isn't my idea of a vacation.
I just love his interaction with Shadow and Rouge as his subordinates. It's really funny and charming. I also love how sassy Rouge is to him, saying while making a gesture that I like.
Well, believe what you want to believe.
I love that line. They have such great chemistry together. And they work better than Orbot and Cubot because they are all individuals with their own motives and backstories and characters. They're not just working for Eggman because they're his robots, and he shows that he cares about them and isn't just bickering with them. Eggman says in a nice way to Rouge that she'll be able to handle the tasks that he gives to her.
So, isn't it that girl?
And I really like Rouge's gesture in response to that. Rather than going into a whole egomaniacal rant about how great she is, she just does a subtle gesture. And Eggman's really excited at blowing up the whole island before a gun knows what hits them.
We'll blow up the whole island and get away before anyone has a chance to know what hit them.
It's pretty amusing, and it's a good character moment for him, considering that he's supposed to be this evil villain. Like, in one of the trailers for the game's stories, it mentions terrorist activity, and that's what they're talking about. Eggman is essentially that kind of criminal.
Terrorist activity. We'll blow up the whole island and get away before anyone has a chance to know what hit them.
So it makes him look like a threat once again. There really isn't any reason for him to blow up Prison Island. He just does it. And that's just who he is. Cut to Shadow walking in the forest. And I like Rouge's line here too.
I've got a small problem.
I like her performance here. Like, it really shows that she's embarrassed.
I guess I won't be able to call myself a treasure hunter anymore.
And she sounds so sad there. And suddenly, Shadow has flashbacks of Maria, making it clear without words what's going through his head and why he's choosing to save her. He's already lost one female friend of his. He doesn't want to lose another. But if he destroys the world, he'll lose Rouge anyways, won't he? Again, it really goes to show you how upset he is, and possibly how reprogrammed his mind is, that he's so determined to get his revenge that he won't notice the potential consequences for him. But yeah, this is another scene helping establish that Shadow's not a pure, evil, bland villain. I even like how he says in a typical anti-hero fashion. It just shows that he's reluctant and embarrassed about saving her. It makes sense. He's not immediately like, I'm going to be the hero and do a heroic thing. It's in character for him.
Chaos control!
Here we have a flashback where we get to see how Maria was like before she got hunted down by the soldiers. They could have very easily not given this to us at all, but instead they decide to develop her character even more. She's a nice little girl, asking the rhetorical question,
Shadow, what do you think it's like on Earth?
You can tell that's rhetorical because the Japanese script makes it a lot more obvious. And then Shadow says the character building line,
Maria, I just don't know anything anymore. I often wonder why I was created, what my purpose is for being here. Maybe if I go down there, I will find the answers. Maybe. Maria.
He sounds so genuinely sad and insecure when he says maybe. I just love this flashback. The piano music playing, Maria being innocent and curious, and Shadow showing that he wasn't always the way he was in this game, showing insecurity and wondering what his purpose is. It really helps to make Shadow a sympathetic and interesting character in this game, especially since, again, this flashback could have very easily not have been put in the game, but they chose to go through the extra effort of doing it anyways. And also makes you wonder, since Shadow wants to experience the world below the Ark, would he have actually gone there on his own if the whole soldiers thing didn't happen? Maybe he would have. That would have been interesting. It really makes you think about what could have been.
Why so melancholy?
Again, Rouge is pretty smart. She uses a big word like melancholy casually. The point is, this is the second time that she's been shown to be intelligent. Third, if you count her manipulating Eggman. And then she says with a smile that his ability to use chaos control comes in handy. So again, she's manipulating. She's good at figuring out what people can benefit her with. I like how Shadow has a classic Suderi moment, saying,
You know, I didn't come to save you. I came back for the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, but then again, that's not the whole story, is it?
and Rouge is smart enough to see through it. They were very self-aware with how they wrote this scene. They knew that Shadow's just kidding himself. They knew, and they had Rouge respond to it perfectly. And best of all, right after Rouge finishes her sentence, a throat-clearing sound is heard from Eggman walking into the room.
Emeralds.
Yeah, but then again, that's not the whole story, is it?
That's perfectly timed to suit the humor of the scene. It's another comedic scene. Like, people try to say that this story is dark and edgy, but this is yet another time when there's humor.
That's more than enough for the demonstration. So let's get the show on the road.
He sounds so uncharacteristically happy and cheerful. It's pretty humorous. You'd never expect to hear Shadow say such a hammy line past this game. This next scene is also very humorous. Perhaps the funniest scene in the game. Everyone in the team is bickering with each other like they're turning against each other, with Eggman throwing a tantrum and Shadow nagging him in a deadpan tone.
The cannon will take too much time to charge up. If you want to unleash its full potential, you'll need all 7 Chaos Emeralds.
And Eggman complaining to Rouge in a hilariously hammy performance out of nowhere.
Where in the world have you been?
Something happened?
I just love Rouge's teasing of Eggman in this cutscene. Instead of getting nervous when he asks where she's been, she acts all cool, keeping her cool, nonchalantly asks,
Something happened?
After getting the answer, she teases Eggman like a big sister, not missing a beat.
Look at you, throwing a tantrum like a little kid. How totally embarrassing.
Don't forget your end of the bargain, that girl.
I love that line. This defines her character to me. Eggman asks where the 7th emerald is. And without even getting nervous, Rouge says it in a very condescending and humorous manner.
Here you go. I found this.
And he immediately says immediately.
Why didn't you show me this before?
Which is pretty funny. See, as drama-filled as this story is, it still does humor rather well. And the newspaper reveals that Tails was given a Chaos Emerald for saving Station Square. This game actually bothers to have a continuity nod from a previous game, and one that actually factors vitally into the plot. When's that going to happen again? Shadow says,
Soon enough. Hurry up.
And leaves the room. And this is when it's revealed what Rouge's real motive is for working for them. It's not just to get a Master Emerald radar, especially since she doesn't really look for it. I mean, in Security Hall, she just found Chaos Emeralds. Instead, her mission is to get information on Project Shadow.
Rouge reporting. Currently, I have not been able to confirm if Shadow is the ultimate life form or not. I will continue my research on Project Shadow and have a follow-up report very shortly. Just a reminder, don't forget about my jewelry.
I love that line. I love her performance of it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. She is a jewel thief, after all. So is Gunn paying her on jewels? Or are they giving her a paycheck and bribing her with jewels at the same time? Maybe they hired her because, as a jewel thief, she's a prodigy sneaking into places that people wouldn't expect her to be hired by them as a spy to take advantage of that. This implies that Gunn is pretty corrupt even today if they're just looking the other way as a member of Gunn steals jewels and even bribing her with them. This could show that Shadow has a point by not trusting Gunn, since they're corrupt even in the present day.
I'm just living by my own rules.
So Rouge calls up Eggman from the room with the Eclipse Cannon. She sounds pretty annoyed.
What? What do you mean they escaped?
That's good acting on her part. And I'm not talking about her actress, I'm talking about Rouge as a character. She's a good liar. She's supposed to act like she's on Eggman's side. Then she lies in a sly way.
That's okay. I will go after them myself. Can you tell me the password for the Space Colony Control?
Another great performance.
Tricking that old doctor is just too easy.
I love the performance of that line. It's so cheery and charming. She then finds out something shocking that is revealed later, setting up a plot point for later rather than it coming up out of nowhere when it finally shows up. This is actually the scene where she finds out about the bio-lizard, but they don't show you that because they want to keep it a surprise for later.
Can't be right. What is Shadow anyway?
Then Eggman sees on a screen that there's energy readings from 2 Chaos Emeralds. This is also a good scene because it's better than it never explaining how he knew that there was a fake emerald. They could have very easily not included this cutscene at all, but instead they actually bothered to go through the effort of explaining why Eggman knew there was a fake emerald, rather than just making him a villain too by somehow making him immediately know that there was a fake emerald before he saw it.
Why do they always leave a sweet little innocent girl like me alone?
Well, well, young lady. Is there something I can help you with?
Mr. Eggman!
If you value your life, you will tell me where Sonic and Tails are.
The Dark Story gives you an extra cutscene where Eggman kidnaps Amy, showing him as a threat once again. He actually succeeds, looking menacing. And Amy actually sounds frightened in this scene.
Can help you with?
Mr. Eggman!
This is another cutscene that they could have very easily not given us, but decided to go through the effort of giving us anyways, which is good. And this is one of the best cutscenes in the game. Rouge acts like she's going to steal the emeralds in the Eclipse Cannon, saying another great character line for her.
Legend has it when all 7 Chaos Emeralds are collected, the power creates a miracle. I have 6 of them. They're mine. All mine.
Well, Rouge's theme plays because she's doing something she's known for, stealing jewels. And then Shadow finds out Rouge is a spy somehow, and as they're bickering, you hear the happy and pleasant Rouge's theme playing, making the scene look like comical, harmless bickering.
So you did did your homework. Is that it? I would say that's an invasion of privacy.
I could say the same thing about you.
Looks like things aren't quite going your way. But since my job was done, I thought it was time to take what's mine and get out of this place.
You are one pathetic creature.
Look who's talking. What about you?
It's like the scene is telling you not to take it seriously. You might think this is a flaw, but since Rouge doesn't actually suffer any consequences from it, and it was shown already that Shadow cares about her and her life, the music here is actually fitting. You're not supposed to take this seriously. This is supposed to be a comical scene. You know that Shadow's not going to do anything to her. Then we get to the good part. The music stops entirely to make you pay attention, and Rouge flies in front of Shadow slowly, holding an article about Project Shadow that shows the bio-lizard. So that's what she was shocked about before. I love how, after the silence, Shadow's theme starts playing after Rouge asks. An excellent line. The music that plays during the flashbacks with Maria plays when Eggman calls up Shadow telling him that there's not much time left. And this sad music keeps going as Rouge talks to Shadow some more. Which makes sense, of course it's sad. She's basically asking him if he's the real Shadow.
Here are the results of the research project called the Ultimate Life Form. But if this picture is of the real ultimate life form named Shadow, then exactly who or what is standing in front of me?
This is Dr. Eggman. I have found all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Shit. Someone is trying to get the Eclipse cannon. There's not much time left before the cannon fires again. Can you get over there?
If you want to live, leave the Chaos Emeralds where they are. The fake emerald is good enough for you.
Do you actually believe that you're the real Shadow?
No
Even
doubt.
your memories might not be real, you know?
Even if my memories are not real, it's still me, Shadow. And I will fulfill my promise to Maria. That's the only thing that matters to me now.
Instead of reacting to that empty death threat, Rouge is actually fearless enough to not care and ask in concern,
Do you actually believe that you're the real Shadow?
Shadow instantly says confidently,
No doubt.
and then Rouge says,
No
Even your
doubt.
memories might not be real.
being accidentally right. And the plot is foreshadowing to what's revealed in the last story's Japanese script about Joe Robotnik. I also completely control his memories. This is the second time that they're foreshadowing this. And when told that he and his memories might not be real, instead of spending 2 entire games angsting about it, Shadow says in a sympathetically insecure tone at that,
Even if my memories are not real, it's still me, Shadow. And I will fulfill my promise to Maria. That's the only thing that matters to me now.
I really love how Shadow's acted with those lines. He actually sounds sad and unsure of himself, and it makes him more sympathetic. This cutscene is just fantastic. I love the way it's presented. I love the timing of the music, the mood of the music, all of the lines. It's excellent. And again, the entire focus of this cutscene was the bio-lizard. So people say that the bio-lizard came out of nowhere, but the whole reason that they had this conversation in the first place was because Rouge showed him the newspaper about the bio-lizard. Why else would they be talking about whether or not Shadow is the real Shadow? The final cutscene of the Dark Story is Eggman putting the yellow Chaos Emerald from Tails' boss fight into the Eclipse cannon. And then the camera pans away from him as a red tint flashes through the room. And then it shows a warning sign on the screen in front of Eggman, foreshadowing perfectly what the first scene of the last story will be. After all, warning error message wouldn't be appearing if the Eclipse cannon was about to do what it was originally intended to do, which perfectly foreshadows the cannon's override in the last story. You might think that this cutscene is non-canon because it shows Eggman about to take over the world, but then the last story shows up and reveals that it was canon after all. After all, if the hero's story ending was canon and Sonic blew up the cannon, then why would Eggman be doing this? Wouldn't he immediately know that the cannon had been blown up? Wouldn't he get told about it immediately? So Eggman tries and fails to fire the Eclipse cannon. It's humorous hearing what he says to it.
cannon fire!
The screen in front of him goes from having the word warning on it, as in the Dark Story's ending cutscene, to showing a picture of Eggman's grandfather.
It's my grandfather, Joe Robotnik.
This must have been a pretty shocking twist back in the day. That not only does Eggman have actual family members being acknowledged in the games, but one of them was a brilliant engineer just like him and actually created Shadow, an organic life form instead of a robot at that. Even more shocking and disturbing is that it's a video of Jail Robotnik in a straitjacket with chains around his body as he's sitting down on a chair, clearly just about to be executed, making his final speech. A speech that will now get broadcast to the entire world. This is one hell of a twist, and it creates a lot of impact that makes you pay attention to the story right away. Rouge enters the room and says sadly, showing depth to her character beyond a selfish jewel thief,
It's all over for us.
What do you mean?
I just received a message from my boss. The space colony Ark is currently approaching the Earth at an incredible velocity. It probably will impact Earth.
This is a death sentence for every human being on Earth. If my calculations are correct, the space colony Ark will impact the Earth in 27 minutes and 53 seconds. All of you will be destroyed, along with your beloved planet Earth.
With dramatic music playing for the right atmosphere, you see scenes of the random civilians in various countries of the world being scared, and then you see the space colony Ark hurtling towards Earth with the trail of fire behind it to really seal the deal. And then after it,
I plan to give you a taste of my revenge once all the 7 Chaos Emeralds are collected. Once I initiate this program, it cannot be disabled. All of you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
another excellent group of lines. And then the Ark starts vibrating and you hear his echoing voice repeating what he said in an intimidating way.
I plan to give you a taste of my revenge.
The vibration's getting worse.
Whoever did the performance for him did an incredible job of showing his anguish, sadness, and bitter resentment in those lines. And it gets better. Everyone is taking the situation seriously, with Knuckles getting furious at Eggman, and the other characters focusing on figuring out how to save the world, with Tails worrying that it may be too late. This is good to complement the tension. This is a good climax. They could have very easily not bothered having the important characters react properly at all. They could have just settled for showing the humans' reactions.
Just letting Knuckles pilot the shuttle on the way over here was more dangerous than you could ever be.
So Rouge finds Gerald's diary. And this is also excellent because it gives us much clearer backstory on what his point of view was about his backstory. It's not just implied. We actually get to see from his perspective, see his descent into madness. We get to see how he used to be a sympathetic, relatable person and just went nuts. And this is perfect for establishing a good villain. Sure, a lot of dark stuff is happening, but that's good because that means that he's established as a villain who has actual excuses for being the way he is. And I'd rather have a villain that has an actual motive and backstory. So she reads it unhappily as dramatic music plays. And again, it's fantastic that they have the diary at all because it establishes more of the sympathetic side of Joe Robotnik that we only got hints of in Shadow's flashback. And the exposition we get here is done in a way that's both visually interesting and does all the right things to establish the right ominous tone to make it captivating. I love what they do in the scene. They show blurry white words reflecting what she's reading appearing on the screen, and eventually covering it as the characters listen on reacting to it with Amy looking horrified, and you go from hearing Rouge reading it to hearing Gerald reading it.
Keep the prototype from falling into the wrong hands.
Which is another thing they didn't have to do, but it helps us see from his perspective even better. Again, the voice actor for Gerald did a fantastic job here, perfectly conveying the amount of anguish and sanity that she was going through at the time. It works much better than just hearing Rouge read it. This works as a tearjerker every time I hear it. Part of what makes this speech so great is the line that he's worried about his colleagues in the Ark and his granddaughter Maria. It's not just Maria that he's worried about, it's also his colleagues. Like, that one line shows that he's not that bad before the whole goes insane thing. Not to mention the benefit mankind thing. And the Maria thing. Easily the best and most emotionally impactful part of the speech is the part where he talks about what happened to Maria.
I found Maria's name among those who died when the Ark was shut down. She meant everything to me, and I couldn't bear the thought that she died because of my research. I lost everything. I had nothing more to live for. I went insane. All I could think about was to avenge her. Somehow, some way. I got scared as I no longer was able to control my thoughts. All I could think about was that I wanted it all. Based on my original projections, I was able to complete my project, Shadow. I designed its mind to be perfect, pure. I will leave everything to him.
And I love how he gets so creepy with the way he performs his lines with completing his project. I love how he elongates his name and the way he basically says the line that comes after it. And I also like how this is an instance where the lines overlapping each other actually contributes positively to the scene.
And awaken it.
If you wish to fill the world with destruction,
making it feel surreal when it's already supposed to be creepy and surreal. You go from Gerald speaking in pure anguish to a creepily pleasant and at peace tone. Like he's gone from grief-stricken despair to peaceful and coming up with a plan to destroy the world. And then Rue shows another sign of intelligence when she comes up with the plan before Tails does, saying, it's great that she has a smart plan moment because Tails got enough of those in this game already. And it's great that she actually remembered what Knuckles told her about in the first cutscene she was in, when that cutscene implied that she didn't care what the Emerald's powers were, just thought it was pretty. So it shows depth to her character. And it's even better that the Master Emerald's actually being used for something in the plot, instead of just being a MacGuffin that Knuckles never does anything with, like in all the other previous games. Later, Amy's walking around alone in the Ark, and it says my favorite line from her.
Ooh, I hate it when they leave me behind.
I love the delivery of that line. And again, it's another good character moment for her. They establish her character pretty firmly in this game, and it's, for the most part, has nothing to do with her being a stalker to Sonic. She just has that one scene, and even then that's more a teasing thing. After this, Amy is finally useful, for the second and last time in the whole series. She uses a admittedly nonsensical speech that reminds Shadow of what Maria wanted. Shadow has the complete Maria flashback, with Shadow's theme playing to really make the scene perfect. That energy-filled music with Maria saying, "Shadow, I beg of you," actually works for a tragic moment by reminding us that she's saying this in panic before she gets shot. And then the music gets sad after she says better future in a panicked tone.
Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me.
Maria!
For all I know you can do it. Please will you brought me to this world.
The instant she finishes saying sayonara, Shadow says,
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I promised her. I must keep that promise. That's what Maria wished for.
in a sad tone of voice. Shadow's actor is definitely the best in this game. I really love this next scene too. I love how the pulsating egg things or whatever really seem to pulsate in perfect tune with the dramatic music with the piano and drums. And that really does a good job of creating an atmosphere for the biolizard that Rouge talked about earlier to show up. It's very clearly a prototype, to the point where it needs neck tubes, being on life support in order to survive, and is a primitive mammal, Considering that they devoted an entire cutscene to Rouge saying Shadow might not be the real ultimate life form based on a newspaper photo of the Biolizard, yes, this was foreshadowed properly. Biolizard was one of the many things foreshadowed in this plot before happening. Suddenly, 3D holograms showing J.R. Robotnik get projected outwards and you hear echoing and off sync.
All of you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair. All of you ungrateful humans took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
This is such a badass villain introduction scene. And then, Shadow shows up to fight the Biolizard, and tells Sonic and Knuckles without explanation to get the Chaos Emeralds when he fights it. I'm glad they forgive him so quickly instead of being suspicious or rude. That shows that they're good heroes. That they're more focused on saving the world than just yelling at him for being a villain earlier. They have their priorities in the right place. Knuckles uses the Master Emerald to stop the Chaos Emeralds by reciting the chant that Tikal told Tails, being actually useful for once, while also having yet another instance where a continuing on to a previous game violently factors into the plot.
Servers are the 7 Chaos. Chaos is power.
I like how he sounds unsure when he's saying it, struggling to remember what the chant is. It humanizes him. It adds depth to his character rather than having him be proud all the time. If this was a later Sonic game, he'd probably be really arrogant about it. Maybe it gives him some leniency in the fact that he doesn't have to say it exactly right. It makes sense for him to get the chant wrong because he's under pressure and unfamiliar with saying it. After Shadow beats the Biolizard, it uses its magic-infused Chaos Control Organ to warp away. Knuckles has a relatable deadpan snarker remark when he asks why the Ark is still falling to Earth.
Since we stopped the Chaos Emeralds, why is the space colony still on a crash course to Earth?
Saying exactly what the audience is thinking. It's really good that they pointed this out and explained it right away with Eggman. Eggman announces with an echoing voice over the intercom that the prototype is still alive. And that's a good effect. They didn't need to make his voice echoing to make it really feel like it's over the intercom and that it's got a panicked atmosphere. So the Ark starts falling towards the Earth in a fiery blaze, and Shadow remembers Maria's promise again as Ted's music plays, reminding the audience in a well-done way that doesn't bring the pacing to a screeching halt why Shadow's doing this and how he's grown.
Shadow, I beg of you.
Maria.
Give them a chance to be happy.
Sonic and Shadow both use Chaos Control at the same time, which makes the Ark disappear on a screen showing people all over the world cheering. And while they're cheering, Shadow falls to Earth, saying in a sad way,
Maria, this is what you wanted, right? This is my promise I made to you.
and vanishes, which is really tragic at the time, especially considering that while this is happening and the sad music is playing, we still see civilians cheering, ironically, to drive the tragedy home. Sonic comes back to the Ark holding Shadow's bracelet unhappily. The final cutscene is rather touching, with the sad music playing and the character talking as the credits play. The calm after the storm. Sonic is considerate enough to think to give a sympathetically grieving Rouge the bracelet of Shadow, even though she's a jewel thief and you think that he would just hate her. And she wonders if Shadow was really created to destroy life on Earth because of her attachment to him. Sonic makes it clear that he's forgiven him by saying,
He was what he was, a brave and heroic hedgehog who gave his life to save this planet.
That is heartwarming. It's a great line that shows that Sonic himself has undergone character development in this game, by growing so far from when he was calling Shadow an it.
Did you see it? Where is it now?
This is the only game that does anything even remotely close to character development for Sonic himself. It's in a minor way, but one thing, but it's still better than anything that comes in other games.
I looked up to my grandfather because of all the great things he accomplished in his life. He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him. What? Did he really mean to destroy us?
I don't know, but what I do know is we all did it together.
You're right.
Eggman explains to Tails that when he was a child, he looked up to his grandfather, giving more depth to his character, giving him a backstory of some sort. And he shows that he's unhappy about the idea that his idol decided to destroy the world.
I don't know, but what I do know is we all did it together.
At least Eggman was nice enough to respond to Tails' naive and missing the point response with,
"You're right,"
in a pleasant tone, which is heartwarming. Maybe he doesn't hate the kid as much as we're led to believe. They are both gadgeteer geniuses after all.
So what's next for you, Rouge? Off again to find those jewels you love so much?
Nah, I think I'm gonna give up this line of work. Too much work for too little pay. Anyway, I've got something better than jewels that I'm thinking about right now. It'll all work out. You'll see.
If you say so.
Knuckles implies that he's gotten more friendly with Rouge by cheerfully asking if he's back to stealing those jewels. And Rouge says in a tone that implies she isn't lying that she's going to give up stealing jewels. Knuckles says in a friendly way,
If you say so.
It's heartwarming because normally they hate each other for exactly what he's teasing her playfully about. And again, it's a calm after the storm. They're all just really grateful that they saved the world.
Created the ultimate life form.
What's the matter, Sonic?
Seeing what looks like Sonic wiping his eyes with his hands while characteristically looking away to try and hide it. Seriously, this is the only game in the franchise where Sonic is basically shown to be crying. They actually show that he actually cares about someone other than himself. Amy asks him,
What's the matter, Sonic?
Sonic is shown to be genuinely sad and mournful here, and Amy is shown to be comforting and considerate. None of this kind of heart ever happens in any game that comes after it. Amy is shown to be sympathetic, and Sonic is shown to have feelings. Everyone leaves, and before leaving, Sonic says gently,
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Unintentionally echoing what Maria had said. Again, that's really good. It's touching. Then the sad music continues to play until it stops, and different music plays instead. And thus ends Sonic Adventure 2, the most engaging, exciting, well-written plot in all of Sonic. Granted, it's not free of plot holes, although some of the plot holes are just things that people point out that aren't. But it has the best characterization of any Sonic game. Actions have consequences. The villain is an actual threat who constantly one-ups Sonic. There's all sorts of different conversations besides just talking and boasting and boring exposition that just outweighs everything else. It makes you bored out of your mind. There's a balance between action and talking. It's all about balance. There's even moments of levity, like entire cutscenes of levity, to basically balance out the fact that exciting stuff is happening, that there's actual sense of stakes and dark things happening to make it clear that the villains are sympathetic and have actual excuses, are well-rounded characters, rather than just being there to be villains. There's so much that this story does right that other games in the franchise, before and after it, just haven't done. And as much as people complain about the cutscene presentation of this game with the mocap and everything, it still does a lot right. It's like a movie. The camera panning around and the music that perfectly sets the mood and is generally perfectly timed. It creates the right emotion right away. So many of the lines in this game I complimented because they're just great character moments and create the right mood correctly and make the characters endearing and memorable. Generally, this is a very underrated story, and there's a reason that it used to be called the best story in all of Sonic. Just because the story is lighthearted, like Colors, doesn't mean that it's perfect and has no flaws. And this story was generally lighthearted too, it's just that it had a sense of stakes. And I think that's something that Sonic's story needs, because Sonic is about balance. It shouldn't be too edgy, but it also shouldn't be too kiddie. Because either way, it's extremely alienating to the audience. And I think this story did it the best.